12 bans in Switzerland and weird things that surprise the whole world: not being allowed to climb mountains naked, having to pay pet taxes, or banning toilet flushing after 10 p.m. are strange regulations being applied in an extremely famous country in Europe, Switzerland. We always know Switzerland as a very free country with hospitable people, but there are many unreasonable bans and strange things that don't exist anywhere else in the world. Right now, we're going to look at what's happening in Switzerland and what are the reasons behind the regulations and those oddities. Number 12. It's forbidden to flush toilet after 10 p.m. We agree that banning noise on Sundays is reasonable, but banning toilet flushing after 10 p.m. is truly crazy and goes against human freedom. If you are someone who wakes up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, this country is not for you. In Switzerland, flushing toilets after 10 p.m. is considered illegal due to noise pollution. Therefore, people often refrain from going to the toilet or wait until dawn before flushing the toilet if they want to continue living in this country. Once again, I have to say it's extremely silly and absurd. This ban may not reflect the actual needs of the people. There may be special situations when people need to use the restroom in the evening and cannot wait until early morning. In this modern age of advanced technology, limiting bathroom use at night may become outdated. Instead of making these ridiculous regulations, why doesn't the Swiss government require citizens to build houses with better soundproofing? Although limiting toilet flushes at night may have reasons for noise or disturbing neighbors, or does more harm than good. It creates unreasonableness and inconvenience for residents, and especially tourists. Adjusting regulations to reflect actual needs and respect people's personal rights can be a reasonable. Naked while climbing mountains is prohibited. Residents of a Swiss canton have voted in favor of a ban on nude mountain climbing in the Alps after dozens of Germans began showing off their bodies in their beautiful mountains. Most residents of the small canton of Appenzell in Switzerland have agreed to a $176 fine for anyone who violates this prohibition. The state government introduced the ban after people complained about tourists wearing only shoes and socks when climbing. They are very upset with the appearance of these tourists, the state government said yesterday. In the neighboring state of Appenzell Outer Roads, a similar law is planned to ban this disgraceful practice. However, German websites support nude climbing and describe it as an exceptional experience of nature, freedom, and health. They say this activity has existed in the Alps since ancient times and appeared in Germany since the 18th century. The two sides are still arguing fiercely about this regulation, but for now, no one is allowed to climb mountains naked in Switzerland, at least until the majority of Swiss people are open to this action. Number 10. Is it forbidden to throw trash on Sunday? Unbelievably, in Switzerland, if you put waste in public bins on Sunday, you will be fined and detained for a few days. The regulation not to throw trash into public trash cans on Sunday helps people be more aware of general hygiene. Because this is a public holiday, there will be no one to clean up the trash or help you sort the trash. If all people put their trash in public trash bins on Sunday, then on Monday everyone will have to endure the rancid smell. People who are new to this country or tourists often do not know this regulation. Therefore, they are the ones who get fined the most on Sundays. Swiss people are quite friendly, but if you still deliberately dump trash on the weekend, they will not hesitate to denounce and severely criticize you for your awareness. No noise on Sunday. Perhaps Sunday is a meaningful day for the Swiss, so they have issued many bans on this day. They want Sunday to be a completely quiet day of rest. All noisy activities on Sundays and holidays are absolutely restricted and can only be carried out at a minimum level, according to the laws of this country. No one is allowed to use a lawnmower, drills, or use a hammer, or even drive a heavy truck on the road these days. In addition, the Swiss also value quiet very much, so it is no wonder that this country has lawyers specializing in the field of noise. Therefore, people are encouraged to keep noise down between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. the next morning to avoid complaints or fines. This law is currently quite controversial. Restaurants, bars, cinemas, and other entertainment establishments may have difficulty attracting customers on Sundays. This can affect their revenue and profits. If international visitors are unfamiliar with this regulation, they may have difficulty finding services or entertainment on Sundays. This could affect the tourism industry and the revenue from service establishments. However, the majority always wins in Switzerland, so these rules are still maintained and gradually become the culture of this country. Number 8. Ban on naming children. Switzerland has banned certain baby names. According to the Swiss Civil Code, it is illegal for parents to name their children certain names that may harm the child or offend third parties. For example, brands like Channel, Mercedes, and others along these lines are illegal. Naming rules can also reflect a country's cultural values. Protecting cultural identity through naming can be a way to maintain and preserve traditional values. Strict naming regulations are also established to ensure that children's names do not negatively impact their lives as adults. This may include avoiding names that could lead to teasing or annoyance. Additionally, you're not allowed to name your son the same as your daughter's name, or vice versa. So if you're planning to have children in Switzerland and want to name them something unique, make sure that the name is not on this list of banned names. Number C. The world's largest nuclear bomb-proof bunker. If you're afraid of the risk of nuclear war breaking out, take your family to Switzerland, because there is a high possibility that you will have a safe haven in this country. Through 2 world wars, Switzerland has always remained loyal to its neutral policy. After both nuclear superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, successfully tested the first atomic bombs in the 1950s, with the assertion that neutrality is not a guarantee against the risk of nuclear war, the Swiss government began to focus on researching strategies to establish a network of bunkers for the military and bomb shelters for its people. The Swiss parliament has passed a law: the country's construction projects must have nuclear bomb shelters. Therefore, it is not America, nor the Soviet Union, but Switzerland, a small country located next to the majestic European Alps, that has the largest nuclear bomb-proof bunker system in the world. It can be said that up to now, Switzerland is the only country in the world that has a nuclear bomb-proof bunker system equipped for the entire domestic population, although they may never. Now, we must use them for their intended purpose. Articles 45 and 46 of the Swiss Federal Civil Protection Law stipulate every citizen must have a safe place to be able to move quickly from his place of residence, and owners of apartment buildings need to build and renovate shelters for all people living in the apartment complex. That is why most houses built in the 1960s in Switzerland are equipped with this special cellar system. Every apartment in Switzerland, when rented or sold, comes with such basements. It's important to know that Switzerland is the only country in the world that has a tax on building and maintaining shelters to avoid nuclear war. In peacetime, these cellars are used by people as small warehouses because, according to custom, almost every house in Switzerland has a cellar to store food, drinking water, and medicine fully guaranteed. Can maintain an isolated life in harsh weather conditions and for long periods of time. When a crisis occurs, they will turn into special shelters. Many families even often live underground to prevent unforeseen incidents. It's a bit more expensive, but it seems that this Swiss regulation is quite good for people. Number 6. People go abroad just to buy food? Well, we just want to go to the nearest supermarket to save time. The Swiss find ways to go abroad just to buy daily food. I know it's hard to believe, but the reason why the Swiss did it makes sense. You need to know that prices in Switzerland are very expensive. Swiss salaries are, of course, very high, but this joy will evaporate quickly when you see the prices of food items in the supermarket. For example, a kilogram of beef in Switzerland costs more than $50. Product prices at stores are quite similar, so the only way to save buy discounted products. Most stores in Switzerland offer 50% off expired items. Expenses such as rent and personal belongings are also very high in this country, so even Swiss people with high incomes must save money to make enough to live. Many Swiss people living near Germany, France, and Italy often go to these countries to buy food because the prices are cheaper. But the amount of food will be limited when brought across the border. For example, a person cannot carry more than 20 kilograms of fruit and vegetable, half a pound of meat, 5 liters of milk, and 3 liters of juice. This is to ensure that they do not import goods for resale. It's forbidden to take photos because the scene is too beautiful. I was quite confused when I heard about this ban because there are contradictions. Why does Switzerland ban tourists from taking photos of their country's majestic natural scenery to make it more famous? In fact, not all countries applies this law, but only one village, said to be the most beautiful village in Europe, has introduced such a ban. This village is called Bravois, a small village located in the Swiss Alps, near the famous resort of St. Moritz. Initially, tourists were allowed to take photos, but the photos shared widely on social networks were worried that they could make people feel bored and no longer want to visit. Therefore, local authorities have banned tourists from taking photos. This may sound like a joke, but it actually became a law passed by the village council and the Bergen mayor. Violators will be fined about €5 and must delete all photos taken. According to a statement by tourism authority Bergen, the announcement follows a study into the impact of technology on the travel experience. A survey of 1037 American adults by Wyndham Vacation found that nearly half of respondents said social media had negatively affected their travel. To show its determination, the Bergen government also deleted all images of the village on social networking sites and the official information page of Bergen. However, the village's tourism director, Marc-Andrea Barandieu, also admitted that part of the reason for this ban was a marketing tactic to promote the village's image. It directly stimulates human curiosity and desire to explore. They believe that the number of visitors to Bergen will increase many times compared to previous years. Number 4. It's mandatory to pay taxes when raising dogs. Dogs are the most intelligent animals and are most closely associated with human life. Many countries around the world have introduced laws banning eating dog meat or protecting dogs from violence and oppression. However, Switzerland is a country that has introduced a law that owners must pay taxes to be allowed to keep dogs in their homes. Each dog raised in this country needs to be registered with local authorities, and the owner must pay an annual fee or tax to maintain the dog. Main purpose of this tax may be to ensure that dog owners are responsible for the care and control of their dogs, as well as to support basic services such as public sanitation, dog management, etc., wildlife management, and programs related to resident animals. In addition to registration and payment of fees, Switzerland also regularly implements control and monitoring measures regarding dog breeding to ensure that they are well cared for and do not cause a nuisance to the community. Must have a playmate for your pet. It seems that the Swiss really hate being lonely because they even require pet-owning families to create conditions for their pets to have friends to play with. This law was passed by the Swiss government in 2005 to ensure that social animals, such as guinea pigs or goldfish, are friends of the same species and are not kept in cages that are too small. At first, this law sounds quite unreasonable, but in fact is quite humane and imbued with love for animals. In Switzerland, keeping a pet is not only about taking care of the physical animal, but also includes the mental aspect. It is worth noting that the regulation requires at least one companion for the pet in cases. This is designed to ensure that pets are not alone but have support and care during times when their owners cannot be with them. This regulation applies to all pets, from dogs and cats to animals such as birds, rabbits, or even other pets. This demonstrates the special care for pets in Switzerland and reflects the importance of both the mental and emotional aspects of animals in this society. This regulation also helps create a positive and happy living environment for pets, while promoting proper care and responsibility on the part of owners. Number 2. The world's heaviest penalty for speeding. Switzerland is the most expensive place to pay a speeding ticket. The world record for fines is held by a Swiss driver who's fined 709,000 francs, about $767,000 in Switzerland, after being caught by a speed camera at 290 km. But he was still lucky to only be fined, as many people even go to jail for this crime. Specifically, those who intentionally drive too fast and commit a violation twice the speed limit will face a sentence of 1 to 4 years in prison. The law clearly stipulates the boundaries of imprisonment for speeding drivers. In urban areas with a speed limit of 30 km, you will go to jail if you drive a car or motorbike at a speed of 70 km. In areas where vehicles are prohibited from driving more than 50 km, the limit between a fine and going to jail is 100 km/h. On motorways with a speed limit of 80 km/h, the boundary will be 140 km. On the highway with a speed limit of 120 km, owners of supercars who dare to risk going over 200 km will have to sit on the schedule. Previously, Switzerland had issued huge fines of up to millions of dollars to players who disregarded the law. The highest record fine in this country is for a driver with a fine of up to €1 million, equivalent to 1.296 million USD. Car owners in Switzerland seem not to be very pleased with this law, but the majority of people still support it, and of course it cannot be amended. Number 1. Prohibit the use of air conditioning. Air conditioners have become so familiar, especially on hot days. However, in Switzerland, you will not be able to use air conditioning. The Swiss people believe that this will help reduce the amount of carbon dioxide emitted into the environment, while reducing the negative impact of technology on the greenhouse effect. In environmental issues, Switzerland is considered an ideal example. Families here do not use air conditioning. Instead, in hot weather, they choose to use electric fans or hand fans. The living environment and culture in each place can promote different choices about using technology to meet everyday needs. By not using air conditioning, Switzerland shows its commitment to protecting the global environment and climate. But most importantly, they have a cool climate and rarely have to use this device, otherwise there would probably not be this ban on people. But nonetheless, this is still a correct and good regulation for the planet. It deserves to be praised and applied more widely in places with cool weather. Thank you for accompanying us to explore the strange things in this country. Don't hesitate to share interesting things you know about Switzerland in the comments section below. Please continue to follow our channel to update other interesting information from countries around the world.